My name is Mark, and I've always been a curious person. I live in a small town where nothing much happens, except for that one terrifying incident at our local Walmart. It all started when a little girl named Stephanie went missing. Stephanie was an adorable 6-year-old girl with bright blue eyes and a contagious smile. She lived with her parents just a few blocks away from me. One sunny afternoon, Stephanie's parents sent her to Walmart to buy some groceries. It was a routine trip that she had made countless times before, but this time she never returned. As the days passed, the whole town became engulfed in worry and fear. The police launched a massive search operation, and volunteers scoured every corner of the town, desperately hoping to find any clue that would lead to Stephanie. But there was no sign of her. A week had passed since Stephanie's disappearance when the police received an anonymous tip. The caller claimed to have information about Stephanie's whereabouts, and the address he provided sent chills down their spines. It was the old abandoned warehouse near the outskirts of town. The police immediately rushed to the location and discovered a chilling scene. Inside a decrepit, rusted refrigerator lay the lifeless body of Stephanie. She had been hidden away, out of sight, and the shock of finding her in such a horrifying state sent shockwaves throughout our close-knit community. The news spread like wildfire, and everyone was filled with grief and anger. The police launched a full-scale investigation, determined to find the person responsible for this heinous act. But as the days turned into weeks, and then into months, the case went cold. No leads, no suspects, nothing. The town was left in a state of perpetual unease. People locked their doors, parents clutched their children a little tighter, and the once bustling Walmart now had an eerie atmosphere. It became a place of whispered rumors and unsettling glances. As for me, I couldn't shake off the feeling that there was something more to this tragic story. I had a hunch that there were secrets lurking beneath the surface, waiting to be unearthed. Determined to find the truth, I delved into the investigation, desperate to bring justice to Stephanie and closure to our shattered community. Little did I know that my pursuit of the truth would plunge me into a dark and twisted web of secrets, exposing me to unimaginable horrors that I never thought possible. The answers I sought were buried deep within the twisted minds of those who had done this, and I was about to uncover them, no matter the cost. With each passing day, my determination to unravel the truth grew stronger. I knew I had to dig deeper, to uncover the secrets hidden behind Stephanie's tragic fate. As I delved into the investigation, I discovered a series of unsettling facts that sent shivers down my spine. First, I learned that Stephanie had been seen talking to a middle-aged man near the entrance of Walmart on the day she disappeared. Witnesses described him as tall and slender, wearing a worn-out brown jacket and a baseball cap pulled low over his face. The man seemed familiar to some, but no one could place him. I started questioning the employees at Walmart, hoping to find someone who had noticed something unusual that day. Most claimed not to recall anything out of the ordinary, but one cashier, Lisa, caught my attention. She hesitated before finally admitting that she had seen the man talking to Stephanie shortly before she vanished. According to Lisa, the man appeared agitated, as if he was in a hurry. She overheard snippets of their conversation, and it seemed that Stephanie was trying to help him find something inside the store. The details were hazy, but it was enough to pique my curiosity. I decided to retrace Stephanie's steps that fateful day. Walking through the aisles of Walmart, I tried to imagine what might have happened. And then I noticed something peculiar, a section of the store that seemed oddly neglected and abandoned. It was a dimly lit corridor, tucked away behind a row of shelves, hardly visible from the main aisles. The floor was littered with debris, and the shelves were half empty, as if it had been forgotten by time. My instincts told me that there was more to this hidden space than met the eye. Carefully, I ventured deeper into the forgotten corridor, my heart pounding in my chest. As I approached the end, I noticed a heavy metal door, slightly ajar. I hesitated for a moment, unsure of what I might find on the other side, but my determination pushed me forward. I pushed the door open, and a gust of stale air greeted me. Before me lay a vast underground storage area, a labyrinth of darkened rooms and narrow passages. It was a hidden world beneath the bustling surface of Walmart, a world that held the secrets I had been searching for. As I cautiously explored the underground maze, I stumbled upon a small room that felt different from the others. It was colder, almost freezing, and the air was heavy with a peculiar odor. Something was off. And then I saw it, a small flickering light coming from behind a stack of crates. I approached the source of the light and gasped at what I found. It was a makeshift living space, hidden away from prying eyes. The walls were adorned with disturbing drawings, and scattered on the floor were discarded wrappers and empty food containers. It was as if someone had been living here, lurking in the shadows of Walmart. My mind raced as I tried to piece together the puzzle. Was this the hideout of the man Lisa had seen with Stephanie? Did he have a connection to her disappearance? And most importantly, was he still lurking somewhere in the depths of Walmart? Suddenly, a noise echoed through the underground labyrinth, jolting me from my thoughts. It was a faint, shuffling sound, coming from a nearby passage. My heart pounded in my ears as I realized that I was not alone. Someone else was down here with me. My name is Nate, and I've always had a fascination with abandoned places. There's something eerie and captivating about the remnants of forgotten places, frozen in time. So when I heard rumors of a deserted Walmart on the outskirts of town, I couldn't resist the temptation to explore it. Late one evening, armed with a flashlight and a sense of adventure, I made my way to the abandoned Walmart. The parking lot was desolate, with weeds growing through the cracks in the asphalt. The store itself loomed before me, its windows shattered and its entrance covered in graffiti. As I cautiously stepped inside, a chill ran down my spine. The air was heavy with an unsettling silence. It felt as though I had entered a ghost town where time stood still. The aisles stretched out before me, filled with decaying merchandise and broken shelves. It was as if the entire store had been abruptly abandoned, with no signs of life anywhere. I made my way through the aisles, my footsteps echoing in the empty space. The flickering light from my flashlight created eerie shadows that danced along the walls. My heart pounded in my chest, a mixture of fear and excitement coursing through me. Suddenly, I heard a faint sound, like a whisper carried on the wind. I stopped in my tracks, straining to listen. There it was again, a soft voice calling my name. Nate. Nate. My curiosity got the better of me, and I followed the voice. It led me deeper into the store, toward the back storeroom. As I approached, the whispers grew louder, more distinct. The room was shrouded in darkness, but I could sense a presence, something otherworldly. Summoning my courage, I stepped inside the storeroom and pointed my flashlight around. And that's when I saw him. A figure standing in the corner, dressed in tattered Walmart employee uniform. It was as if time had stopped for him too. "Who are you?" I asked, my voice trembling. The figure turned slowly towards me, his face worn and pale. He spoke in a hushed voice. "I am Kevin, the last employee of this Walmart. I've been trapped here, unable to leave." My mind raced with a mix of fear and curiosity. How could he still be here, a ghost haunting the abandoned store? I wanted to run, to escape this eerie encounter, but something compelled me to stay. "What happened to you, Kevin?" I managed to ask, my voice barely above a whisper. Kevin sighed, his eyes filled with sorrow. "It all began years ago. This Walmart was a thriving place, bustling with customers and employees. But one fateful night, something went terribly wrong. A fire broke out, trapping us inside. I tried to save as many people as I could, but the flames consumed everything. In the end, I was the only one left." A shiver ran down my spine as I listened to Kevin's tale. The tragedy that unfolded in this place was beyond anything I could have imagined. The weight of the past hung heavy in the air, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being drawn into something much bigger than myself. I stood there, transfixed by Kevin's haunting story, the flames, the desperation, the sense of loss. It all lingered in the air, creating a suffocating atmosphere. I couldn't fathom the pain and anguish Kevin must have endured, trapped within these walls for all these years. "Why are you still here, Kevin?" I finally managed to ask, my voice quivering. "I don't know," he replied, his voice filled with resignation. "Perhaps it's the guilt that keeps me tied to this place. I couldn't save them, couldn't prevent the tragedy that unfolded. And so I remain forever haunted by my failures." Tears welled up in his eyes, and for a moment I saw the weight of his burden etched upon his face. I felt a surge of empathy for Kevin, a desire to help him find some semblance of peace. "Kevin," I said softly, taking a step closer to him, "you're not alone anymore. I'm here, and together, we can find a way to release you from this place." Kevin's gaze met mine, his expression a mix of hope and skepticism. "You really think so? After all this time?" I nodded, determination coursing through me. "I believe there's a way. We'll find a way to set you free, to lay the past to rest." Over the following weeks, Kevin and I embarked on a journey to unravel the mysteries surrounding the tragedy that befell the Walmart. We delved into old records, newspaper clippings, and even interviewed some of the survivors. With each piece of information we uncovered, the truth began to unfold, piece by haunting piece. It turned out that the fire had been caused by a faulty electrical wiring in the building. Negligence on the part of the management and inadequate safety measures had exacerbated the situation, turning a minor incident into a full-blown catastrophe. The guilt that had burdened Kevin for all these years was not entirely his to bear. Armed with this knowledge, Kevin and I reached out to the families of the victims, sharing our findings and expressing our heartfelt apologies. It was a cathartic experience, filled with tears, forgiveness, and closure. Together, we organized a memorial service to honor the lives lost, paying tribute to the victims and bringing a sense of healing to the community. As the memorial service concluded, I turned to Kevin, who stood by my side. The weight that had plagued him for so long seemed to have lifted, replaced by a newfound peace. He smiled, a bittersweet smile filled with gratitude. "Thank you, Nate," Kevin said, his voice filled with emotion. "You've given me a chance to find redemption, to let go of the past and embrace the future." With that, Kevin's spirit began to fade, his form dissipating into the ether. I watched, awestruck, as he disappeared, knowing that he had finally found the peace he so desperately sought. The abandoned Walmart, once a place of darkness and despair, now stood as a testament to resilience and forgiveness. It became a symbol of the community's ability to come together, to heal the wounds of the past, and to move forward. And as for me, well, the experience changed me. It made me realize the power of empathy, the importance of confronting our demons, and the strength that lies in unity. I became an advocate for safety awareness, using Kevin's story as a catalyst to prevent similar tragedies from happening again. The rain poured down relentlessly, pounding against the windshield of Ben's car as he gripped the steering wheel tightly. It was a dark and stormy night, the kind that sent chills down your spine. Ben had never been fond of driving in such conditions, but tonight he had no choice. He had to reach his destination, no matter what. The winding road ahead was barely visible in the dim glow of the headlights. Ben's knuckles turned white as he maneuvered the car carefully, his mind racing with thoughts of what lay ahead. He couldn't shake off the feeling of unease that crept up his spine, as if he were being watched. The radio crackled intermittently, filling the silence with bursts of static. Ben tried tuning into his station to distract himself from his growing anxiety, but the voices that emerged were distorted, eerie whispers that only added to his sense of dread. He decided to turn it off and rely solely on the sound of rain and the hum of the engine. Miles passed, and the road seemed to stretch on endlessly. Ben glanced at the GPS, which indicated that he was still hours away from his destination. The isolation of the countryside intensified his uneasiness. No other cars were in sight, and the occasional flickering of the streetlights only added to the eerie atmosphere. Suddenly, Ben's headlights illuminated a figure standing on the side of the road. He slammed on the brakes, heart pounding, as the car screeched to a halt. Rain pelted against the windows as the figure approached slowly. It was a woman, drenched from head to toe, with long, tangled hair clinging to her face. Reluctantly, Ben rolled down the window just enough to hear her voice. "Please," she pleaded, her voice trembling. "I need a ride. My car broke down, and I've been walking for miles." Ben hesitated, his instincts telling him to drive away, but the compassionate side of him couldn't leave her stranded in the storm. "Get in," he finally replied, unlocking the passenger door. The woman climbed into the car, her clothes leaving wet patches on the seat. She introduced herself as Emily and thanked Ben profusely for stopping. As they continued on their way, a heavy silence enveloped the car, broken only by the sound of raindrops against the roof. Ben couldn't shake off the feeling that something was off about Emily. Her eyes darted nervously, and her hands trembled as she twisted a wet strand of hair around her finger. The unease he had felt before intensified, and he couldn't help but wonder if he had made a grave mistake. Just as Ben's suspicions grew, Emily let out a gasp. "Oh no," she exclaimed, pointing ahead. "Look out!" Startled, Ben's eyes darted back to the road. In the blink of an eye, a figure appeared, seemingly out of thin air, directly in front of his car. He yanked the wheel to the side, narrowly avoiding a collision. The car swerved, tires screeching, before coming to a stop on the wet pavement. As Ben caught his breath, his heart pounding in his chest, he glanced over at Emily. She was gone. The passenger seat sat empty, drenched but unoccupied. Trembling, Ben realized that he had picked up a ghostly apparition, a hitchhiker from beyond the grave. Ben's hands shook on the steering wheel as he tried to process what had just happened. The rain continued to pour, obscuring his vision and blurring the line between reality and the supernatural. He couldn't comprehend how Emily had vanished from the car in an instant, leaving behind nothing but wet stains on the seat. Fear and confusion gripped him, and he felt a chill run down his spine. Should he stay and investigate, or should he flee from this unsettling encounter? The rational part of his mind urged him to leave, to drive away from this haunted stretch of road. But his curiosity and concern for Emily propelled him to stay, to uncover the mystery that now surrounded him. With a trembling hand, Ben reached for his phone and activated the flashlight feature. He stepped out of the car, rain cascading over him, and approached the spot where Emily had vanished. The rain-soaked road reflected the faint glow of the headlights, creating an otherworldly ambience. As Ben scanned the area, his eyes caught something glimmering in the distance. It was a small pendant, partially buried in the wet ground. He picked it up, studying the intricate design etched into the metal. It was an ornate locket, weathered by time and neglect. As he held the locket, a surge of energy coursed through him, like a whisper from the past. Ben couldn't explain it, but he felt a connection between the locket and Emily. It was as if the pendant held the key to her story, to the reason why she appeared before him on this fateful night. Determined to uncover the truth, Ben decided to continue his journey, his mind consumed by questions. He returned to his car, clutching the locket tightly, and resumed his drive. The rain continued to lash against the windshield, blurring his view, but he pressed on, fueled by a mix of trepidation and curiosity. Miles passed, and the storm began to wane, the rain slowly dissipating. As the sky cleared, the road ahead revealed a desolate and forgotten town. Dilapidated buildings stood like silent witnesses to a forgotten era. The town seemed frozen in time, an eerie stillness permeating the air. Ben's heart raced as he navigated the deserted streets, searching for any signs that could lead him closer to the truth behind Emily's apparition. Every shadow seemed to hold secrets. Every creak of an abandoned building echoed through the night. Finally, a flickering streetlight illuminated an old signpost, barely legible through the fog of his breath and rain-soaked windshield. It read, "Welcome to Willowbrook, established 1875. The town's name sent a shiver down Ben's spine, as if he had stumbled upon a forgotten tale of tragedy. Driven by an inexplicable force, Ben parked his car near the town square. He stepped out, holding the locket tightly in his palm, and walked toward a crumbling Victorian house that stood ominously at the end of the street. The house exuded an aura of darkness, its windows boarded up and its paint peeling, as if hiding secrets within its decaying walls. As Ben approached the house, the front door creaked open, revealing a dimly lit interior. Hesitant yet resolute, he entered, the creaking floorboards echoing his footsteps. The air was heavy with an otherworldly presence, a palpable reminder of the spirits that haunted this place. The inside of the Victorian house was a haunting sight. Dust-covered furniture stood frozen in time, as if awaiting the return of its long-gone inhabitants. Shadows danced on the walls, casting eerie silhouettes that seemed to whisper ancient secrets. With each step, Ben felt the weight of the unknown pressing upon him. The locket in his hand seemed to pulse with a faint warmth, guiding him deeper into the house. He followed its subtle pull, drawn toward a grand staircase that ascended to the upper levels. As he climbed the stairs, the air grew colder, and the sound of his footsteps echoed ominously through the empty corridors. The flickering light of an old chandelier illuminated the way, casting long shadows that seemed to move of their own accord. Ben's heart raced with anticipation and trepidation. He couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched, that unseen eyes followed his every move. But he pressed on, driven by a relentless desire to uncover the truth. Reaching the top of the staircase, Ben found himself standing before a door that seemed to beckon him. It was slightly ajar, revealing a glimmer of light emanating from within. The locket in his hand tugged him toward the door, as if urging him to step inside. As he pushed the door open, a gust of wind rushed through the room, extinguishing the candles that flickered on a dusty table. Ben's eyes widened as he took in the scene before him. The room was filled with photographs, yellowed with age, chronicling the lives of those who once called this house their home. Among the photographs, one caught Ben's attention, a faded image of a woman with a striking resemblance to Emily. It was a portrait of Sarah Montgomery, a young woman who had mysteriously disappeared from Willowbrook over a century ago. The locket in Ben's hand seemed to resonate with the photograph, as if confirming the connection between Emily and Sarah. As he delved deeper into the room, Ben discovered a diary hidden within the drawer of an old writing desk. Its pages were delicate and worn, filled with the words of Sarah Montgomery herself. It chronicled her love for a man named Samuel, her dreams, and her anguish over the constraints of society. The diary entries grew darker and more despairing as they neared Sarah's disappearance. The last entry spoke of a secret meeting with Samuel at the old willow tree near the outskirts of town, the very same tree that had been uprooted long ago. Ben's mind raced, connecting the dots between the apparition of Emily, the locket, and Sarah's tragic tale. It became clear that Sarah's spirit had reached out to him, using Emily's likeness as a conduit to seek closure and justice for the injustices of the past. Determined to honor Sarah's memory, Ben set out to find the remnants of the old willow tree. He ventured into the outskirts of town, guided by the whispers of the past and the weight of the locket in his hand. And there, among the overgrown weeds and forgotten memories, He discovered a hidden burial site where Sarah's remains lay undisturbed. In that moment, a sense of peace filled the air. The connection between the living and the dead had been mended, and Sarah's spirit could finally rest. As Ben placed the locket atop the grave, a soft breeze rustled the leaves of the surrounding trees, as if bidding farewell. With a heavy heart, Ben left Willowbrook behind, forever carrying the memory of the night drive that had led him to uncover a long-buried secret. The rain had ceased, and the road ahead stretched before him, illuminated by the faint glow of a new dawn. Charlie sat behind the wheel, his hands gripping the leather steering wheel tightly as he navigated through the darkened streets. The moon hung high in the sky, casting an eerie glow on the empty roads. It was past midnight, and most people were safely tucked away in their homes, unaware of the sinister events that were about to unfold. Charlie was a private investigator, known for taking on the toughest cases. Tonight, he was on his way to meet a client who had sought his help in a chilling murder investigation. The client, Mr. Thompson, had lost his young daughter under mysterious circumstances, and the police had failed to provide any leads. As Charlie approached Mr. Thompson's mansion, he couldn't shake off the feeling of unease that settled in his gut. The imposing gates opened slowly, creaking eerily as they revealed the sprawling estate beyond. Charlie parked his car and made his way towards the front door, his footsteps echoing through the silence. Inside, the grand foyer was dimly lit, with only a single candle flickering on a nearby table. Mr. Thompson appeared, his face etched with grief and desperation. He led Charlie to a study, where photographs of his daughter adorned the walls, a constant reminder of his loss. "Charlie, I need your help," Mr. Thompson pleaded, his voice trembling. "The police have given up on finding the truth. I can't rest until I know who took my little girl's life." Charlie nodded solemnly, his eyes scanning the room for any clues. He noticed a photograph of the victim, a bright-eyed girl with an infectious smile. It was clear that she had been loved deeply by her father. Charlie promised Mr. Thompson that he would do everything in his power to uncover the truth. Over the next few days, Charlie immersed himself in the investigation. He interviewed the police officers who had initially worked on the case, searching for any missed details. He also reached out to friends and acquaintances of the Thompson family, hoping to uncover any hidden secrets. Late one night, while poring over the case files in his office, a breakthrough finally came. Charlie stumbled upon an old police report buried among stacks of paperwork. The report mentioned a witness who had seen a suspicious vehicle near the Thompson residence on the night of the murder, a dark sedan with tinted windows. Excitement surged through Charlie's veins as he realized the significance of this overlooked detail. It was a lead, a thread to pull on. Armed with this newfound information, he decided to take matters into his own hands. With the photograph of the victim clutched tightly in his hand, Charlie set out on a late-night drive. He retraced the path of the mysterious sedan, hoping to find any clues or witnesses that the police might have missed. The streets were hauntingly quiet as he ventured into the darkness, his headlights illuminating the empty road ahead. As Charlie delved deeper into the investigation, little did he know that he was stepping into a web of deceit and danger, where the truth hid behind layers of lies and secrets. The night drive had only just begun. Charlie drove through the night, his eyes scanning the streets for any signs of the elusive dark sedan. The chilling wind howled, adding an eerie ambience to the already tense atmosphere. The night seemed to stretch on endlessly, as if time itself was conspiring against him. After hours of fruitless searching, Charlie's determination started to wane. Doubt crept into his mind. Was he chasing a phantom, a mere figment of a witness's imagination? But just as he contemplated turning back, a glimmer of hope emerged in the distance, a vehicle matching the description of the sedan. Charlie accelerated, closing the gap between his car and the suspect vehicle. As he followed it discreetly, his mind raced with questions. Who was the driver? What connection did they have to the murder? And most importantly, where were they headed? The dark sedan led Charlie through a labyrinth of streets, twisting and turning through the heart of the city. It finally came to a stop in a desolate part of town, a secluded, abandoned warehouse district. Charlie parked his car at a safe distance, observing the surroundings before cautiously approaching on foot. The dilapidated warehouses loomed ominously, their shattered windows reflecting the moonlight. Charlie's heart pounded in his chest as he stepped inside one of the buildings, his footsteps echoing eerily. He held his breath, straining his senses to catch any hint of movement or sound. Within the warehouse, a dim light flickered in the distance, drawing Charlie deeper into the shadows. As he ventured further, he stumbled upon a disturbing scene. A makeshift room filled with children's toys and drawings. It was a stark contrast to the grim environment, sending shivers down his spine. Among the toys, Charlie noticed a tattered doll that bore a striking resemblance to Mr. Thompson's daughter. Dread washed over him as the truth started to take shape. The warehouse was a sinister lair where an unimaginable evil had thrived. Suddenly, a door creaked open, and Charlie instinctively hid behind a stack of crates. He peered through the gaps, his heart pounding in his ears. A figure emerged, a man with an unsettling smile etched across his face. It was the driver of the dark sedan, the key to unraveling the mystery. The man moved with purpose, meticulously cleaning the room, erasing any trace of his presence. Charlie's investigative instincts kicked into overdrive. He knew he had to act swiftly if he wanted to apprehend the culprit and bring justice to Mr. Thompson's daughter. Summoning his courage, Charlie emerged from his hiding spot, confronting the man. "You're under arrest for the murder of Sarah Thompson," he declared, his voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through his veins. The man's eyes widened with a mix of surprise and defiance. A brief struggle ensued, but Charlie managed to overpower him and restrain him with makeshift handcuffs. It was a small victory, but the battle was far from over. With the suspect in custody, Charlie contacted the authorities, ensuring that the man would face the consequences of his heinous crimes. As the sirens wailed in the distance, Charlie couldn't help but feel a mix of relief and sadness. While justice would be served, the loss of an innocent life could never be truly undone. The night drive had come to an end, but the echoes of the investigation would linger in Charlie's mind. He had witnessed the darkness that hid beneath the surface of seemingly ordinary lives, and as he drove away from the warehouse, he knew that his work as a private investigator was far from over. Martin had always enjoyed the solitude of the night. The quiet roads, bathed in the soft glow of the moon, held a certain mystique that drew him in. He often found solace in the late-night drives, allowing his thoughts to wander and his mind to find peace. But one fateful night, his love for the nocturnal journeys would be forever tainted by a dark and chilling mystery. As Martin embarked on his usual night drive, the air was heavy with anticipation. Little did he know that the events about to unfold would haunt him for the rest of his life. Along the familiar winding road, Martin spotted a distressed figure standing at the side. He slowed down and rolled his window down slightly. "Are you okay?" Martin asked, concern etched on his face. The woman, disheveled and visibly shaken, managed to whisper, "Please, help me." Without hesitation, Martin unlocked the car doors and let her in. She seemed lost, frightened, but unable to articulate her thoughts. Martin's heart went out to her, and he resolved to offer his assistance. He reached for his phone to call the authorities, but before he could dial, the woman's eyes widened, and she pleaded, "No police, please." Puzzled, Martin hesitated but decided to respect her wishes. He reassured her, promising to take her somewhere safe. As they continued the drive, the woman's uneasiness grew, and Martin couldn't shake off a sense of foreboding. He tried to engage her in conversation, hoping to calm her nerves, But she remained silent, her eyes darting around nervously. After what felt like an eternity, they arrived at a secluded cabin deep in the woods. Martin led her inside, offering her water and a warm blanket. But as he turned to get her something to eat, he heard the front door slam shut. Startled, he rushed back, only to find the woman gone. A surge of panic coursed through Martin's veins. He searched the cabin frantically, calling out her name, but his pleas echoed into emptiness. It was as if she had vanished into thin air. The night that had once been his sanctuary now held an unspeakable dread. Days turned into weeks, and Martin couldn't escape the guilt that weighed heavily upon him. He feared the worst, haunted by the possibilities of what might have happened to the woman he had failed to protect. The police investigated, but no leads emerged, leaving Martin with unanswered questions and a restless mind. 3 weeks had passed since the mysterious disappearance, and Martin couldn't bear the weight of uncertainty any longer. Determined to find closure, he retraced his steps, driving along the same desolate road that had marked the beginning of the nightmare. The moon cast an eerie glow on the landscape, illuminating the memories that had haunted him. As he drove, his eyes caught a glimpse of something unusual in the distance. Curiosity compelled him to investigate further. He pulled over and approached what appeared to be a hidden path leading into the dense woods. An inexplicable force drew him in, despite the dread that lingered within. Step by step, Martin ventured deeper into the shadows, guided only by the faint moonlight filtering through the thick canopy. Every rustle of leaves made his heart skip a beat, but he pressed on, driven by a mix of fear and determination. Finally, he stumbled upon an old, dilapidated shed, a structure forgotten by time. The wooden door creaked open as Martin pushed it, revealing a scene that would forever be etched in his memory. There, lying on a makeshift bed, was the woman who had vanished from his car weeks before. Relief and horror intertwined as he rushed to her side. She was alive but frail, her body emaciated and weak. Martin cradled her gently, his voice trembling as he whispered, "I found you. It's going to be okay now." She opened her eyes, the glimmer of recognition shining through her exhaustion. With a voice barely above a whisper, she revealed fragments of her story, of being kidnapped, held captive, and her desperate struggle for survival. Martin's heart sank as he listened, his mind racing with anger toward the person who had subjected her to such torment. Together, Martin and the woman stumbled their way back to his car, their steps filled with a newfound determination. He called the authorities and waited for them to arrive, knowing that justice would finally be served. As he sat there, his eyes locked on the woman he had found, Martin couldn't help but feel a sense of profound gratitude and strength, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Though scars may forever mar their souls, Martin and the woman forged an unbreakable bond that night, a bond born from darkness, but strengthened by their shared journey through the shadows. As they embarked on the long road to recovery, their stories intertwined, forever changed by a night drive that had plunged them into the depths of fear, only to emerge with a newfound hope for the future. The news of the woman's discovery spread like wildfire, captivating the attention of the community and beyond. Martin's role in finding her became the subject of admiration, but he couldn't shake off the guilt that still lingered within him. He vowed to help the woman heal and to seek justice for what she had endured. In the days that followed, Martin accompanied the woman to the hospital, where she received the physical and emotional care she desperately needed. He stayed by her side, providing comfort and support as she slowly regained her strength. They shared their stories, their fears, and their hopes, finding solace in each other's company. Driven by a newfound purpose, Martin delved deep into the investigation, determined to uncover the identity of the person responsible for the woman's abduction. He spent countless hours poring over evidence, connecting the dots, and reaching out to contacts within law enforcement. With each lead he pursued, the puzzle began to take shape. His relentless pursuit led him down a dark and twisted path, revealing a web of deceit and corruption. Martin's findings implicated influential individuals with powerful connections, making it clear that justice would not come easily. But he refused to be deterred, fueled by a burning desire to ensure the woman's abductor faced the consequences of his heinous actions. As Martin closed in on the truth, danger lurked around every corner. Threats were made, warning him to back off, but he pressed forward, undeterred by the risks. He knew that exposing the truth was the only way to bring closure to the woman who had suffered so much. Finally, after months of tireless work, Martin uncovered the identity of the mastermind behind the abduction. It was a shocking revelation, one that sent shockwaves through the community and rocked the foundations of the influential individuals involved. The evidence he had gathered was undeniable, leaving no room for doubt. With the support of a few trusted allies within law enforcement, Martin orchestrated a meticulously planned operation to bring the abductor to justice. The arrest sent shockwaves through the criminal underworld, serving as a powerful message that no one was above the law. The trial that followed was a grueling ordeal, but Martin stood strong, providing unwavering support to the woman who had become an integral part of his life. The courtroom became a battleground, where truth clashed with lies and justice hung in the balance. But in the end, the abductor was found guilty, and a collective sigh of relief swept through the courtroom. With the abductor behind bars, Martin and the woman were finally able to find a semblance of peace. Their shared experience had forged an unbreakable bond, one that would transcend the horrors of the past. They embarked on a journey of healing, supporting each other as they rebuilt their lives and reclaimed their sense of security. The night drives that once haunted Martin now took on a new meaning. They became a symbol of resilience and redemption, a testament to the power of courage and compassion. Martin continued his solitary journeys, but this time he carried within him the lessons learned from that fateful night drive: the importance of vigilance, the strength of the human spirit, and the unyielding pursuit of justice. And as the moon bathed the roads in its ethereal glow, Martin drove on, knowing that although the scars of the past would never fade completely, they served as a reminder of the indomitable strength that lay within them both.